What if I told you there are places on Earth that feel like lies? Places that bend your sense of reality so deeply you begin to question whether you're still on this planet. These places are not CGI. They are not paintings. They are not props built for fantasy films. They are real. They exist. And they are waiting quietly far from highways and hashtags. They don't call out to tourists. They wait. And those who arrive are forever changed. Some are hidden beneath layers of mist. Others are exposed to brutal wind or sun. Some are so fragile they vanish with a wrong step. Others are eternal as stone. But all of them feel like the earth whispering back the secrets it usually keeps to itself. This is not a countdown. This is a pilgrimage, a slow walk across corners of the world that barely feel like the world. And we begin not with thunder or lightning but with silence. A silence that holds its breath for millions of years. Number 1. Socotra Island, Yemen. The ocean surrounding Socotra is impossibly clear and still. But the moment you set foot on this isolated island off the coast of Yemen, you feel something shift. As if the rules of nature have loosened. The trees here look like something out of a science fiction novel. Thick trunks twist upward, then explode into umbrella-like branches topped with leaves that resemble green flames. They're called dragon blood trees. And if you slice their bark, what pours out is not sap but red liquid that looks like blood. Socotra was cut off from the African and Arabian mainlands for millions of years. That isolation allowed evolution to run wild and free. Almost 40% of the plants and animals found here exist nowhere else on Earth. Some of the birds sing songs you've never heard. Some insects have no known relatives. The beaches are white and empty. The sky stretches so wide you can feel its weight. In the interior highlands, limestone caves hide pools of cool blue water untouched by sunlight for centuries. Giant bottle-shaped desert roses grow from rock faces like alien lungs exposed to air. The scent of the island is a blend of salt and resin and something floral you cannot name. There are no resorts here. No neon lights. Just wind-carved cliffs, ancient sand dunes, and people who live as they have for generations, fishing, herding goats, and telling stories under a canopy of stars with no electricity in sight. The nights are vast, the darkness total, and when the Milky Way appears, it is not a line in the sky but a wall. Socotra does not want to impress you. It does not perform. It simply is. And if you stay long enough, you begin to forget how the world looked before you got here. Number 2. Pamukkale, Turkey. There is a mountain in western Turkey that looks like it is covered in snow. But it is not snow. It is stone, and water, and time. Pamukkale means cotton castle in Turkish, and from a distance it does look soft, fluffy, even delicate. But up close it is something far more surreal. A cascading cliff of white calcium terraces filled with pools of warm turquoise water that shimmer like liquid opal in the sun. The terraces were formed over thousands of years as mineral-rich hot springs bubbled down the hillside, leaving behind layers of travertine, a type of limestone that builds like coral. The result is a natural staircase of infinity pools, each one more unreal than the last. You take off your shoes. It's required. You walk barefoot across the warm stone, and the texture under your feet is like nothing else, rough but not sharp, smooth but not slippery. You feel the earth's warmth directly. As you bathe in the pool's steam rising around you, you can see the ruins of Hierapolis, an ancient Greco-Roman city built right at the edge of this wonder. Columns half buried in grass. Stone theaters echoing with silence. You imagine the Romans soaking in these same waters, believing they healed the body and the soul. At sunset, Pamukkale glows. The light catches in the pools and reflects like 1,000 mirrors. And at night, if you're lucky, the moon turns the white terraces silver and the water dark blue. It feels lunar, but it is not the moon. It is Earth dressed in dreams. Number 3. Lake Natron, Tanzania. In northern Tanzania near the Kenyan border lies a lake that looks like it came from a nightmare. Lake Natron. It is shallow, broad, and unnaturally red. The color comes from salt-loving microorganisms that thrive in its highly alkaline water. So alkaline that the lake can reach a pH of 10.5, almost as caustic as ammonia. So saline that it can calcify animals. Birds that fly too low or land for a drink or sometimes trap their bodies preserved like statues in ash. The lake becomes their tomb. But in a paradox only nature can explain, this lake is also a sanctuary. Tens of thousands of lesser flamingos come here to breathe, their feet immune to the harsh chemistry. The shore is cracked and white-rimmed with salt. The air is hot, dry and still. And the lake does not ripple. It gleams. It broods. It stares back. From above, the lake looks like a painting made by pouring blood and ink across glass. The surrounding hills are barren, volcanic and rough. And yet when you stand near the edge and watch the flamingos move in synchronized slow motion, you feel something else. A strange harmony. Lake Natron is hostile, but it is beautiful. It defies the rules of what should be alive and what should be art. It kills and it gives life. And it never apologizes for either. Number 4. Salar de Uyuni, Bolivia. It begins as a white nothing. You look out across the landscape and see only brightness. Flat, endless, empty. But then the clouds above begin to appear beneath your feet. Perfectly mirrored. Salar de Uyuni is the largest salt flat on Earth. Over 10,000 square kilometers of pure white hexagonal salt crust. And after the rains, it transforms into the largest natural mirror in existence. You step onto it and your brain stutters. The sky is now the ground. The clouds move under your boots. You are walking not across land but between two heavens. It is completely silent except for your footsteps echoing in infinity. The salt here was left behind from prehistoric lakes that evaporated long ago, leaving behind a desert of white so bright that astronauts used it to calibrate satellites. In the dry season, it is a dazzling cracked plain with islands of cactus-covered rock rising like shipwrecks in a frozen sea. In the wet season, it becomes magic. People drive across it in jeeps to reach the center and then walk out in every direction until they can see no edge. You take a photo and your reflection hovers in the air, your body detached from Earth. Night comes and the stars double, filling sky and land with a galaxy you can walk through. Locals here speak quietly. The salt has a way of swallowing sound. And when you lie down and stare up and down at once, you feel like you've left the world. Salar de Uyuni is not just beautiful. It is sublime. Number 5. Antelope Canyon, USA. In the Arizona desert lies a crack in the earth that opens into a cathedral of stone and light. Antelope Canyon is a slot canyon carved by wind, water and time. It is not vast or high or loud. It is narrow, winding and whispering. But once inside, it steals your breath. The sandstone walls twist in fluid shapes shaped by flash floods over thousands of years. Narrow beams of sunlight shine down like divine spotlights, turning the red rock into gold, purple and fire. The air is cool and still. Your footsteps muffled. Every few meters the shapes change. Waves, folds, spirals. The earth sculpted by water's invisible hand. Antelope Canyon is sacred to the Navajo people, who call it the place where water runs through rocks. Entering it feels like entering a dream, or a memory of something never seen before. You cannot climb it. You cannot run in it. You can only walk slowly as the light shifts and the walls curve around you like whispers. Some say it looks like being inside a flame. Others say it is like walking through a living painting. But what it truly feels like is walking through silence made visible. A place where the earth does not shout. It murmurs. And what it says stays with you long after you leave. Number 6. Vatnajökull Crystal Ice Caves, Iceland. Underneath Europe's largest glacier there are hidden chambers made entirely of glassy blue ice. Every winter the Vatnajökull glacier in Iceland forms ice caves deep within its belly. They are only accessible for a few months. Only when the temperatures are cold enough. Only when the ice is still enough to trust. To reach them you ride across a frozen wasteland. Then walk. Then crawl. And then suddenly you are inside. Inside a dome of deep sapphire light. The walls glow. The floor sparkles. The ceiling ripples like a frozen sky captured mid-motion. No two caves are ever the same. Each year they melt, collapse, reform. The cave you enter this winter may never exist again. The air inside is silent and heavy, as if the glacier is holding its breath. You can hear drips, distant, delicate, water whispering its escape back into the world. The ice above you is hundreds of years old. Compressed air bubbles trapped inside distort the light, turning everything into blue flame. It is a space that should not be. A room made of water paused in time. You stand in it and feel both invincible and fragile. You are a visitor inside something ancient and alive. And when you crawl back out into daylight, the world feels louder, rougher, realer, and that blue stays behind your eyes. Number 7. Tsingy de Bemaraha, Madagascar. If stone could grow like coral, this is what it would look like. Tsingy de Bemaraha is a stone forest. Razor-sharp limestone spires rising like fangs from the earth in western Madagascar. Tsingy means where one cannot walk barefoot. And they mean it. The stone here cuts, tears, defends. The landscape is a maze. From above it looks like a sea of gray teeth. From within it is a labyrinth of narrow paths, suspension bridges, and deep chasms. Some sections are so narrow only children can fit. You walk across rope bridges hundreds of feet above stone needles. And you do it slowly. Very slowly. But within this jagged fortress is life. Lemurs leap between spires. Birds nest in cracks. Endemic plants cling to impossible ledges. The Tsingy protects its inhabitants by keeping everyone else out. Formed by rain and erosion over millions of years, this landscape feels not just alien but hostile. It challenges you. Every step is earned. But when you reach a clearing and look out across the forest of stone, you feel like you've arrived at the edge of something unspoken. It is a place that reminds you nature is not always soft or inviting. Sometimes it defends itself with sharpness, with silence, with wonder that demands respect. Number 8. Rainbow Mountain, Peru. At over 5,000 meters above sea level in the Peruvian Andes, there is a mountain painted in stripes of red, yellow, green, and lavender. It's called Vinicunca, but most people know it as Rainbow Mountain. And the first time you see it, you might think it's fake. Too vivid, too symmetrical, too perfect. But it's real. The colors come from mineral deposits layered over millions of years, then exposed by shifting tectonics and melting glaciers. Iron turns the rock red. Sulfur paints it yellow. Chloride adds green. Manganese lays down purple. Nature here is not subtle. It is bold. Getting there is not easy. The air is thin, the trail is steep, and the cold bites hard. But every step is a slow revelation. Herds of alpacas pass you quietly. Snow-capped peaks loom in the distance. And then suddenly you crest the ridge and the rainbow unfolds below your feet. It doesn't look like geology. It looks like art, a canvas rolled out between mountains. And all around it silence, as if even the wind is stunned. Locals offer coca tea to help with the altitude. They smile knowingly. For them, the mountain is not just beautiful. It is sacred. And you begin to understand why. Number 9. Marble Caves, Chile. In the southern tip of Chile, near the Patagonian Andes, lies a lake of glacial blue. And within that lake, hidden along the shoreline, is a secret cathedral carved by water. The Marble Caves, Capillas de Marmol, formed over 6,000 years as waves eroded the calcium carbonate walls. The caves shimmer with color. Swirls of white, gray, turquoise, and teal dance across the ceiling like frozen smoke. The water reflects it all, doubling the magic. To reach them, you must ride a small boat across Lake General Carrera. The water is clear and cold, the wind sharp, and then the caves appear. Columns and arches, domes and tunnels, all sculpted by time and tide. Inside, your voice echoes softly. The stone is cool and smooth, and everywhere light bounces and shifts, painting the cave in moving shades of blue. The deeper you go, the quieter it gets, until all you hear is breath and boat and beauty. It is a place that feels holy, not in the religious sense but in the sense of wonder. A cathedral not made by hands but by persistence. Few travelers make it this far south. Fewer still enter the caves at sunrise, when the light makes everything glow like a secret only nature remembers. It is not easy to reach, but that's why it still feels untouched. Number 10. Hinatuan Enchanted River, Philippines. In the dense jungles of Mindanao in the southern Philippines, there is a river that seems to appear out of nowhere. A pool of crystal blue so deep, so pure it glows. Locals call it the Enchanted River. And when you see it you understand why. No one knows exactly where the water comes from. Divers have tried to trace it but the caves go too deep. Too dark. The water emerges cold and clear from underground into a basin of limestone surrounded by forest. It does not bubble, it glows. At noon each day local caretakers play music, soft instrumental tunes, and the fish rise from the depths to feed then vanish again into the blue. After the music ends swimming is allowed. But no fishing, no loudness, no disruption. Legends say spirits guard the river, that the blue is their protection, that no one has ever reached the bottom. Whether you believe or not, something about the place demands reverence. You stand on the bank and watch the sun dance across the surface. The color is not just blue, it's electric, alive, and when you step into the water it holds you lightly as if reluctant to let you go. It is not just a place, it is a presence, a moment suspended between earth and mystery. Number 11. Stulagill Canyon, Iceland. For years no one knew it was here. Hidden beneath glacial rivers, Stulagill Canyon remained submerged and unseen. But when a dam was built upstream the water receded, revealing a place that looked like another planet. Basalt columns rise in perfect vertical stacks like giant organ pipes. The river now flowing through them is a shade of green so deep it feels unreal. On sunny days it turns jade. On cloudy ones steel. But always clear, always cold, always silent. You walk along the cliff's edge and the canyon seems to fold in on itself, the rock bending, the river curving. And below it all the columns stand tall, untouched, precise. This place is young in geologic terms but it feels ancient. It feels hidden not just by geography but by time. Like it waited for the right moment to show itself. There are no gift shops here. No fences. Just a dirt path, a few signs, and a view that makes your heart pause. You step down the trail and touch the stone. It is colder than you expect, harder, and yet the curves are soft, the lines smooth. It is a place made by force and polished by patience. Number 12. Spirit Island, Canada. Deep in Jasper National Park in Alberta lies a lake so still it seems carved from glass. Malign Lake stretches between snowy peaks reflecting everything above, and near its center is a small island. Spirit Island. It is not big, a cluster of trees, a patch of earth, a rocky shore. But it holds something more. A stillness, a weight, a feeling. Accessible only by boat and only in certain seasons. Spirit Island is sacred to the indigenous Stoney Nakoda people. They believe the lake and the island hold ancestral spirits. That the reflections are more than light. That they are memories. You paddle in silence. The glacier-fed water so cold your fingers sting. But you do not rush. You float, watch, breathe. When you reach the island you cannot land. It is protected. You simply drift past. And in that drifting feel the full power of reverence. The light changes by the hour. Snow falls even in summer. And when fog curls around the peaks it feels like the world itself is exhaling. You leave nothing behind, and Spirit Island leaves something in you. Number 13. The Blue Pools, New Zealand. In the Host Pass of New Zealand's South Island a short forest trail leads to a wooden bridge suspended over impossibly clear water. Below it are the Blue Pools. Fed by glaciers filtered through mountains, the water here is so transparent you can see every stone, every ripple, every movement. And it is cold, bone cold. The forest is thick with beech trees, moss-covered trunks and birdsong. The trail is soft with fallen leaves. And then suddenly it opens. The pools shimmer blue, green, turquoise depending on the sky. Sometimes a single trout floats motionless, casting a shadow more visible than itself. You walk onto the bridge and the silence holds. Even the river seems to slow. Many travelers miss this place. It is small, easy to overlook. But those who stop remember. Because it is not just clear water. It is clarity itself. You step down to the shore. Dip your fingers in. The shock is immediate. But then peace follows. Like ice cleansing heat. It is a place that does not shout. But it stays. In memory. In sensation. In soul. Number 14. The White Desert, Egypt. When people think of Egypt, they imagine pyramids, temples, and the Nile. But deep in the Western Sahara lies a desert of an entirely different kind. The White Desert. Here the sand is not yellow. It is white, chalk white, bone white, and scattered across it are massive rock formations shaped by wind into surreal sculptures. Mushrooms, towers, giant birds, cracked domes. As if time sculpted the desert for its own amusement. By day the heat is intense, the sun reflecting off the white surface with blinding brilliance. But at dusk everything changes. Shadows stretch, the rocks glow, and when night falls the stars emerge like pinholes in black silk. Camping here feels like staying on the moon. The silence is vast, the air dry and sharp, and yet the ground beneath you is soft, powdery, and luminous. Nomadic Bedouin guide small groups through this place, setting up camp between formations, cooking over open fire, telling stories as the Milky Way spins above. No fences, no lights, just Earth as it once was, and still is, if you know where to look. Number 15. Aogashima Volcano Island. Japan. Imagine a volcanic island with cliffs rising straight from the sea surrounded by nothing but ocean. Then imagine a second volcano inside that one. And inside that second caldera a village. That is Aogashima, located 350 kilometers south of Tokyo in the Philippine Sea. This island is part of Japan's Izu archipelago. It is remote, no airport, only reachable by boat or helicopter. And the weather can turn suddenly, canceling all travel for days. Fewer than 200 people live here, in homes surrounded by green cliffs, steaming fumaroles, and silence. The volcano is still active. The last eruption was in the 1780s. But the island has remained. And so have its people. There is one school, one post office, a public sauna heated by geothermal vents, and stars, millions of them. Because here the night sky is untouched. You hike to the inner crater where wildflowers bloom between rocks and steam rises from vents. You bathe in hot springs, eat local fish, drink shochu distilled on the island, and realize that isolation is not always loneliness. Aogashima is not for tourists. It is for seekers. Number 16. Lake Regia, Italy. In northern Italy near the Austrian border sits a lake that holds a secret. Rising from its center is a lone stone tower, a bell tower, the only visible remnant of a village lost beneath the water. Lake Regia is artificial, created in 1950 by the construction of a dam that submerged the town of Gran. The people were relocated, their homes drowned, but the 14th century church tower remains. In winter the lake freezes and you can walk across the ice to touch the tower's stone. In summer it stands in shimmering green water, silent and surreal. No bells ring now, but some say they still hear them. The image is haunting, beautiful, a reminder that even in progress something is always left behind. You stand at the shore and watch the wind ripple the water. A boat drifts past, tourists take photos, but locals still remember, and the tower remembers too. Number 17. Laguna Colorada, Bolivia. High on the Bolivian Altiplano near the border with Chile lies a lake the color of blood. Laguna Colorada, shallow, crimson, surreal. The red comes from algae and mineral sediments. The water is rich in borax and salt, so salty that it sometimes forms white islands floating amid the red. It is a landscape of contrasts, fire and frost, silence and wind. Flamingos gather here in the thousands, their pale pink feathers striking against the red lake and blue sky. They feed on the algae unbothered by the harsh conditions. It is one of the only places on Earth where 3 flamingo species breed together. The lake is framed by volcanoes, some dormant, some still steaming. The wind never stops. The air is thin. Every breath is a reminder that beauty sometimes costs effort. There are no towns nearby, no souvenir stands, just the sound of feathers flapping and the crunch of salt beneath your boots. Laguna Colorada is not pretty in the traditional sense. It is eerie, haunting, elemental, but once you see it you cannot forget it. The earth painted in colors we forgot it could make. Number 18. Samothrace Waterfalls. Greece, far from the sun-soaked islands of Santorini and Mykonos, lies Samothrace, a rugged island in the northern Aegean where green mountains plunge into blue sea. It is wild, untouched, and home to something extraordinary: waterfalls. Dozens of them. The Fonias River cuts through the heart of the island, tumbling down rocks, forming natural pools and secret basins. The water is cold, clean, and surrounded by trees hundreds of years old. You hike through moss-covered trails, jump from stone to stone, and arrive at pools so clear they seem hollow. Locals call them bathers. They are sacred places, places where myths were born, where gods bathe, where silence is not empty but full. You dive into the cold water and emerge breathless, alive, reborn. Few tourists make it here. There are no beach clubs, no infinity pools. But for those who seek it, Samothrace offers something better: stillness, shade, the sound of water falling like time. Number 19. Hang Son Dong, Vietnam. In the jungles of central Vietnam, hidden beneath limestone mountains, lies a cave so massive it has its own ecosystem. Hang Son Dong. It was discovered by accident in the early 1990s but not fully explored until 2009. Since then it has stunned scientists and travelers alike. The cave is over 5 kilometers long, 200 meters high, and wide enough to fit a skyscraper. Inside are jungles, clouds, rivers, places where sunlight enters through collapsed ceilings, allowing plants to grow inside Earth's belly. You trek for days to reach it, cross rivers, sleep in the forest, rappel down cliffs, and then suddenly the cave opens and swallows you. You walk along rivers in darkness, set up camp on sandy beaches inside the cave, see stalagmites as tall as buildings, and at one point you look up and see clouds swirling under a ceiling of rock. It is not just big, it is another world, a reminder that the planet still holds secrets, still keeps wonders buried deep. You leave changed, not just because of what you saw, but because you now know that magic is real, and it lives underground. Number 20. The Blue Cave, Croatia. On the tiny island of Basevo off the coast of Croatia lies a sea cave known only to those who time their visit just right. The Modra Spilja, the Blue Cave. For most of the day it looks like any other coastal formation. But for a few minutes around midday, when the sun hits at the perfect angle, a miracle happens. Sunlight reflects off the white seabed and illuminates the cave from below, turning it into a glowing chamber of electric blue. The water sparkles, the walls shimmer, everything glows. You can only enter by boat and only when the tide allows. The entrance is narrow. You duck, hold your breath, and then emerge into liquid light. You sit in silence. The guide says nothing. No one does. Because what can you say when the ocean turns to glass and light bends like music? And just as quickly as it appears, the glow fades. The cave returns to gray, and you are back in the real world. But for those few moments you saw something that felt impossible. Sometimes the most extraordinary places are not the ones advertised on billboards or plastered across travel brochures. They are the ones tucked behind mountains, buried under ice, hidden in jungles, or revealed only under moonlight. These 20 natural wonders remind us that this world is still wild, still full of mystery, and that there is magic in every corner of the map if you're willing to look for it. Sparkles, thank you for traveling with us. Like this video, subscribe for more stories from the edges of the earth, and ring the bell so you never miss a place you were never meant to find. We'll see you somewhere impossible.